वेल हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू माय चैनल। तो चलिए आज हम AKTU के सब्जेक्ट नेम डेटा एक्सेस कंट्रोल एंड सिक्योरिटी मैकेनिज्म के सेकंड यूनिट को पढ़ते हैं, जिसका फर्स्ट टॉपिक है पॉलिसी ऑफ एक्सेस कंट्रोल। एक्सेस कंट्रोल पॉलिसीज आर डॉक्यूमेंटेड सेट ऑफ रूल्स एंड गाइडलाइंस दैट dedicate who can access a specific system data and physical location and under what condition. First of all, we know that about policy. Policy means that rules and regulation which is defined in documented format, जिसमें डॉक्यूमेंट्स जो होते हैं वो लीगल होते हैं, उसे लीगली एक्सेस किया जा सकता है। ये दो या दो से अधिक पार्टीज के बीच में एक लीगल एग्रीमेंट होता है। दे आर एसेंशियल फॉर प्रोटेक्टिंग सेंसिटिव एसेट्स, इंश्योरिंग रेगुलेटिंग कंप्लेंट्स एंड मैनेजिंग सिक्योरिटी रिस्क। पॉलिसी एक्सेस कंट्रोल नेसेसरी होता है एसेंशियल डेटा को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए, सिक्योरिटी रिस्क को मैनेज करने के लिए। पॉलिसी ऑफ एक्सेस कंट्रोल मैकेनिज्म के कुछ की पॉलिसी एंड रूल्स हैं, तो चलिए देखते हैं की पॉलिसी एंड रूल्स टिपिकली फाउंड इन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एक्सेस कंट्रोल फ्रेमवर्क इंक्लूड दिस प्रिविलेज principle of least privilege, authentication and strong password management, authorization and access models, user account management, provisioning and deprovisioning, privilege access management, monitoring and auditing, third party access rules, physical access control। तो चलिए पहले हम पढ़ते हैं प्रिंसिपल ऑफ लिस्ट प्रिविलेज। दिस फंडामेंटल पॉलिसी डेडिकेट्स दैट यूजर आर granted only the minimum access rights necessary to perform their job function. Access is granted on a need to know basis, minimizing potential damage from a compromised account or insider threat। प्रिंसिपल ऑफ लिस्ट प्रिविलेज एक फंडामेंटल पॉलिसी होता है जिसमें यूज़र को बहुत ही मिनिमम अमाउंट में एक्सेस दिया जाता है किसी भी डेटा को एक्सेस करने के लिए, फॉर अ सिक्योरिटी पर्पज। ओनली उसको रिसोर्सेज प्रोवाइड किए जाते हैं उसके जॉब के नीड के अकॉर्डिंग। इससे एक्स्ट्रा रिसोर्सेज या डेटा प्रोवाइड नहीं किया जाता है। ऑथेंटिकेशन एंड स्ट्रॉन्ग पासवर्ड मैनेजमेंट। The policy must establish robust authentication standards, often mandating the use of multi-factor authentication for evaluated privileges. It should define strong password criteria and secure handling procedure. It means ये पॉलिसी जो होता है स्ट्रॉन्ग पासवर्ड मैनेजमेंट के वर्क के लिए, जस्ट लाइक स्ट्रॉन्ग पासवर्ड मीन्स जैसे हम पासवर्ड क्रिएट करते हैं अपर केस लोअर केस एंड कुछ स्पेशल करेक्टर के मिक्सअप, तो ये जो पासवर्ड्स होते हैं वो स्ट्रॉन्ग पासवर्ड मैनेजमेंट हेल्प करता है सिक्योरिटी प्रिवेंटिंग में किसी भी डेटा के। जस्ट लाइक अगर हम स्ट्रॉन्ग पासवर्ड बनाते हैं तो हमारा डेटा ब्रीच होने के बहुत ही कम चांसेस होते हैं। Authorization and access model. The policy define the model used for granting permission, most commonly role-based access controls where access is tied to job roles rather than individual identities. Authorization and access models पॉलिसी जो होता है वो मोस्टली हम रोल बेस्ड एक्सेस कंट्रोल मैकेनिज्म में यूज़ करते हैं। रोल बेस्ड एक्सेस कंट्रोल मॉडल वो मॉडल होता है जिसमें हम यूज़र को प्रिविलेज प्रोवाइड करते हैं उसके इंडिविजुअल जॉब फंक्शन के नीड के अकॉर्डिंग, नॉट अबाउट द इंडिविजुअल आइडेंटिटी के अकॉर्डिंग। User account management, provisioning and deprovisioning. Clear procedure are established for the entire life cycle of a user account. यूज़र अकाउंट मैनेजमेंट मीन्स यूज़र के अकाउंट को मैनेज करना, जस्ट लाइक उसकी प्रीवियस हिस्ट्री हैंडल करना, उसके डेटा को सिक्योर करना, उसकी प्राइवेसी स्ट्रॉन्ग करना। ऑनबोर्डिंग, अ फॉर्मल प्रोसेस फॉर granting access upon hire based on the assigned role, transfer, timely modification of access rights when an employee change roles, remaining old permission and adding news. On offboarding, immediate revocation of all access privileges when an employee of the organization. Privilege access management PAM, stricter controls for administrative or super user accounts, including in monitoring separate accounts for administrative tasks and additional approval workflow. Monitoring and auditing, the policy require continuous monitoring of access activities, logging all successful and failed access attempts, regular access reviews, example quarter 5 or annually, and independent audits are managed to ensure compliance and dedicate anomalies. Third party access rule specific, often time limited rules for contractors and partners, ensuring their access is controlled, monitored, and revoked. Physical access control, for physical security policy addresses who can enter restricted areas, example data centers, servers room, using methods like keywords or biometrics, and for visitors management and monitoring premises. Remote and mobile access guidelines for secure access from outside the corporate's network, typically requiring VPNs, strong device authentications, and encryption to protect data transmitted or sorted on mobile devices. Models of access control. Access control models are framework used to manage and enforce Security policy determining who can access which resource within an organization system or physical premises. The primary models are like mandatory access control, MAC, discretionary access control, DAC, role based access control model, RBAC, and attribute based access control model. मैंडेटरी एक्सेस कंट्रोल सबसे रिस्ट्रिक्टिव मॉडल होता है जिसमें स्ट्रॉन्ग सिक्योरिटी होता है, जिसमें यूजर और ऑब्जेक्ट और रिसोर्स के बीच में कई सिक्योरिटी लेयर होते हैं, जैसे लाइक आप देख सकते हैं 5 लेयर है: टॉप सीक्रेट, सीक्रेट, कॉन्फिडेंशियल, पब्लिक, प्रिविलेज, लेवल। डिस्क्रिशनरी एक्सेस कंट्रोल में ये लेस रिस्ट्रिक्टिव मॉडल है, ये भी सिक्योरिटी प्रोवाइड करता है बट मैंडेटरी एक्सेस कंट्रोल मॉडल से कम। इसमें देखिए एक ऑनर है और रिसोर्स है और फिर यूजर्स है इसके। इसमें जो रिसोर्स होता है वो एक सेंट्रल एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर के थ्रू कंट्रोल में होता है। जिसमें यूजर्स होते हैं रिक्वेस्ट करते हैं डेटा को एक्सेस करने के लिए, ऑनर उनको एक सिक्योरिटी पिन प्रोवाइड करता है जिसके थ्रू वो डेटा को एक्सेस कर पाते हैं। मैंडेटरी एक्सेस मोस्ट रिस्ट्रिक्टिव मॉडल एक्सेस इज ग्रांटेड और डिनाइड बेस्ड ऑन प्री डिफाइंड सिक्योरिटी लेवल्स और क्लियरेंस लेवल assigned by a central administrator, not the end user. For example, a user with a confidential clearance can only access resource marked as confidential or lower. Best for high security environments like military or government agency that deals with highly sensitive classified data. Discretionary access control. This is the least restrictive model, giving resources owners full control to set or change permission for their own files or data, which can then be shared with other users at their discretion. This model often uses access control list to specify permission, best for small, flexible environment and collaborative projects where user autonomy is valued and data sensitive is lower. Role-based access control model. Access permissions are assigned to specific roles, example manager, HR specialist, IT admin, based on job function and responsibilities rather than individual users. Users are then assigned to one or more than roles and automatically inherit those permissions, making management and scalability easier in large organization. Just example, mid to large organization with clear defined roles and need for scalable, consistent access model. Attribute-based access control model. This dynamic model grants or denies access based on combination of attributes, characteristics related to the user, the resource, and the environmental. Example: time of day, location, device security, posture. Access is determined in real time by evaluating policies that use these attributes best for a complex dynamic environment requiring fine-grained context-aware access control such as cloud application and health care system with strict compliance require. Other models like rule-based access control, RUBAC, relationship-based access control models. Rule-based access control models use a set of predefined static or dynamic rules to grant access, conditional condition often based on condition list time to time of day or location. It is often used in conjunction with other models like role-based access control model RBAC to add conditional logic. Relationship-based access control model define access based on the relationship between users and resources, commonly used in social network or collaborative project environment. Access control mechanism are the specific technical tools and process used to enforce the rules set by the models. Logical access control mechanism govern access to digital system and data authentication systems. These mechanisms verify the identity of a user or system, password and PIN, multi-factor authentication, biometric security tokens, or smart card, physical device. A user must process something you have to gain access. Authorization tool. These mechanism determines the level of access an authenticated user is permitted. Access control list ACLS. List of permission attached to a specific resource, example files, network, port, database, etc. That specific user or groups have access and what operations they can perform, read, write, execute, capabilities. An unforgivable token or key that grants a specific rights to an object. Security labels used in mandatory access control models. These logs are applied to both user clearance level and data sensitive level. The systems enforce rules to ensure information does not flow to lower administrations. Virtual private network allow users to safely access resource remoted by creating a secure encrypted connection to a network. Monitoring and auditing tools. These mechanisms log access attempts and user activities to detect anomalies and ensure compliance. Physical access control mechanism means physical control restrict entry to tangible space such as office, data center, and server rooms, locks and key. Basic mechanical means of restricting access. Keypads pin entry require a personal identification number for access is specifically used in lower sensitive, lower security areas or as one factor in MFA multi-factor authentication. Biometric scanner used for high security areas where identify certain is essential such as fingerprint or facial recognition. Scanners at restricted entry paints, man traps of physical security vegetable with two-step to interlocking doors where a person must be verified in the first stage before the second door is unlocked. Security guards and surveillance personal and system like CCTV that monitors access point and human activities to deter and detect intruders. What is discretionary of access control? DAC is an access control model that improves or empowers the owner of a resource such as a fire or data to determine who can access that resource and what specific action they can perform. This control is discretionary because the owner can at their discretion grant or revoke access permission to other user or group. डिस्क्रिशनरी ऑफ एक्सेस कंट्रोल मॉडल वो मॉडल होता है जिसमें पावर जो होता है एक ऑनर के पास होता है रिसोर्स का जो डिटरमाइन करता है कि कौन डेटा को एक्सेस कर सकता है और कौन रिसोर्स को कौन उसके रिसोर्स को एक्सेस कर सकता है और उससे कौन से ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म कर सकता है इसकी पावर जो होती है ऑनर के पास होती है इस टाइप के मॉडल को हम डिस्क्रिशनरी मॉडल करते हैं कॉन्सेप्ट ऑनर ड्रिवन होता है ये इसमें जो पूरा कंट्रोल होता है वो ऑनर के पास होता है आइडेंटिटी बेस्ड होता है इसमें यूज़र को एक आईडी प्रोवाइड की जाती है आईडी मीन्स एक सिक्योरिटी पिन प्रोवाइड की जाती है जिसके थ्रू जिसके ऑथराइजेशन के बाद वो डेटा को एक्सेस कर सकता है परमिशंस The owner can assign a specific access rights such as read, write, modify, execute, delete operations. Implementation DAC is a commonly implemented using access control list, which lists the user and their associated permissions for each object. Advantage and disadvantage of DAC. Feature tag flexibility high flexible होता है allowing owners to manage permission dynamically without central admin intervention. Ease of use user friendly होता है and often built into everyday system like operating system and cloud platform and administrative burden low administrative burden होता है इसमें overhead और resource owner manage access themselves. Security generally considered less secure than other models like mandatory access control because it relies relies on user judgment and is prone to human error such as real world example you likely interact with regularly without realizing it. Operating system file and folder permission in Microsoft Windows and Unix Linux system. Collaboration tools sharing settings in platforms like Google or Dropbox where the documents owner decide who can view, comment on or edit a file. Smartphone apps when you grant or deny a new app permission to access your contact or cameras you are using tag. What is non-discretionary of access control model? NDAC is a security model where a central authority, not the individual user or resource owner, strictly manage and enforce access policies. This approach removes all discretion from the end user regarding who can access sensitive data, thereby ensuring consistent enforcement of security policies across the entire system. दो टाइप के नॉन डिस्क्रिशनरी ऑफ एक्सेस कंट्रोल मॉडल होते हैं फर्स्ट वन इज मैंडेटरी एक्सेस कंट्रोल मॉडल सेकंड वन इज रोल बेस्ड एक्सेस कंट्रोल मॉडल मैंडेटरी एक्सेस कंट्रोल मॉडल एक वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट एक्सेस कंट्रोल मॉडल होता है जिसमें इज अ strictest form of access control model and is typically used in environments with highly sensitive or classified data such as the military or government system. How it works? Access is determined by a system administrator who assigns security labels on classified top secrets to both subjects and object file or resources. User can only access resource if their security clearance level match or exceed the resource classification level. Key features user cannot change these permission or labels even for the files they create. The operating system security kernel enforce all access rules rigidly. Role-based access control model. Role-based access control model is usually used in enterprises environment because it provide a goal balance of security and usability, making access management more scalable. How it works? Permissions are grouped into specific job function or roles. HR manager, engineer, auditor, users are assigned to roles based on their responsibilities and they automatically inherit all the permissions associated with what role. Of RBAC. The central administrator defines the rules and their associated permission, and end users cannot modify these rules. The permission change only when a user rule is updated or resigned. Difference between discretionary access control model and non-discretionary access control model. Features: DAC and non-DAC कंट्रोल ऑनर एक्सेस। डैक जो होता है रिसोर्स ऑनर डिसाइड करता है इसमें कि कौन एक्सेस करेगा, और एनडीएसी में सेंट्रल अथॉरिटी होती है, वो डिसाइड करती है सिस्टम सिस्टम एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर डिसाइड्स। फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी हाई हाई होती है डैक की, एनडीएसी की लो टू मॉडरेट होती है। सिक्योरिटी लेवल जो होता है डैक में लोएस्ट होता है एंड डैक में हाईएस्ट होता है। एग्जांपल हो गया फाइल शेयरिंग इन कमर्शियल ओएस, मिलिट्री सिस्टम, इंटरप्राइज सिस्टम, नॉन डैक का हो गया। The model ensures strict security by minimizing human error and ensuring consistent policy enforcement across the organization. Capabilities and limitation of access control mechanism. Access control list. Access control lists are a fundamental security mechanism used in both file system and network to filter traffic and manage permission. Based on a predefined set of rules, they provide a specific granular control but also come with inherent management and scalability challenges. Capabilities of access control list ACL. Granular control. Access control lists offer a fine-grained level of control, allowing administrators to specify precisely which user IP address ports or protocols are permitted, denied access to a single file directory or network segment. Enhance security by enforcing explicit permit and deny rules and implicit denial at the end of our list. Access control list effectively reduce the network attack surface and prevent unauthorized access or the spread of malicious code. Traffic management access control lists are vital for controlling network traffic flow, allowing administrator in hardware which allow priorities certain type of traffic or restrict unnecessary service to improve overall network efficiency. Auditing and complaints. Many systems can log access attempts that match specific access control list entries, creating an audit trail that is invaluable for monitoring security, troubleshooting, and meeting regulatory compliance requirements. Versatility. Access control lists are widely used across diverse environments from local operating systems like Windows, NTFS, or Linux file system to cloud service and network device. Limitation of access control list, complexity and management overhead. In large dynamic environment with thousands of users and resources, access control list can become extremely complex and difficult to manage and maintain, leading to high administrative overhead. Prone to misconfiguration due to their sequential nature, rules are proceed in order from top to bottom. A single misplaced over misconfigured rule can inadvertently open a security vulnerability or block legitimate traffic entirely. Scalability Scalability issues. As the number of users and resources increase, the length of the access control list grows, requiring more processing time to check each rules, which can eventually impact performance in some software-based implementation. Lack of context. Traditional access control list ACLS are stateless is configured as dynamic or reflexive access control list, meaning they evaluate each packet individually without considering the context of a connection or session. Difficult to review. Auditing permission for a specific user can be difficult as their rights might be scattered across measures. Access control list system associated with different objects throughout the system, making access review a cumbersome process. That's all about of the second unit. Thank you for watching.